everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today's episode, I'm going to tell you to watch those numbers. Specifically, this past week, my wife and I have been going over the Gamerpreneur. We intend to make some changes in the next couple of weeks. And in order to do that, we kind of had to figure out where things stand with my content, with my brand, with my following and all those things. And, like right off the bat, like the number one thing I can tell you is I don't know what happened to my Instagram, but apparently I've only been posting like 7 or 8 memes just basically in a loop. And I didn't even notice because I thought I had set up like 100 of these things and it was supposed to take like months to get through it. And nope, apparently every couple of weeks you guys were seeing the exact same memes on Instagram. So oopsie. But with that said, I looked at this and I realized just right quick that these episodes like this, these solo episodes that I do, they get almost no engagement. They get almost no views. They get no reactions. And so, on the flip side, my interviews do really well. I was going back through YouTube through the different months and like almost consistently, all of my interviews have double digit, if not triple digit view numbers. Whereas my solo podcasts, these ones where I'm like showing people how to grow and how to develop and kind of teaching them stuff, got like nothing. And so it's with a heavy heart that we decided that probably the best course of action, one, because like the algorithms on the different platforms average your stuff and they look at the fact that these videos aren't doing well and they hold it against me. So I don't want that. So we decided that we were going to go ahead and remove almost all of my past solo podcasts. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the past 2 weeks, at least for the next several weeks going forward, just because we do intend to change the structure and format of the Gamerpreneur a little bit. Currently, I do 3 interviews a week and then 2 solo podcasts. And after looking at the numbers and kind of realizing just how kind of simple it is to get guests now, back a year ago when I was first starting, it was a grind. It was a slog trying to find guests. It was I was reaching out to 50 people nearly every single day and hoping to get my 3 interviews every single week. And now, like, I'll send 15 messages a night, and then I'll be scheduled for like 5 interviews that next week. So I don't really have to worry too much. And of course, with that said, it probably means I should be focusing on what people are watching, not necessarily the stuff that I like doing, right? I like doing these solo podcasts. I like talking about business and marketing and these different concepts that, I'm sure there are some people out there getting something out of these, but for the most part, I'm not seeing that in the results that these are getting. The numbers just don't support continuing to do this. So what it looks like we're going to do is I'm hoping, I don't know when we're going to do this or when this is going to start, but starting kind of toward the latter part of this week, we're going to up the amount of reach out we do in order to get guests. Honestly, it's been a while since I've really had to reach out for people. There was a couple months like July, August, I did like 1 post on my Facebook group page or my Facebook page, and I would have the next like 8 weeks booked out, something like that. It was 6 weeks. I'd have the next 6 weeks booked out, and then, I go back to Facebook. So I didn't really have to try too hard then. And for the most part, a good number of my guests have all been from referrals. So here I am, I'm like, I gotta like basically restart what I'm doing over again. Like, it was, a year ago today, it was January of 2020. I don't think I had 5 people following my Facebook page. And I'm at like 98, almost 99,000 followers now. And so it's incredible. It's a totally different ballgame. The amount of people willing to say yes to come onto my show now is totally different. So for those of you out there, for those of you who's trying and pushing and grinding and really hustling, trying to build something, understand, if you guys listen to this, I'm sorry that these are probably going to end in the next couple of weeks. I can't give you an exact date because it really depends on how many guests I get. But, don't stop. Keep going, because eventually the numbers will get there for you, especially if you learn how to use paid advertising in order to get people to want to watch your show and to get them coming back repeatedly. Like, you really can grow, and it gets easier. Like, here I am saying, well, I'm going to have 5 guests a week on my show. That's aspirational. I really hope I can do it. I think if I do 6 interviews a week, like actually schedule 6, If one of them bounces out each week, I should be able to pull it off so long as I can get ahead of like the drop off rate. But it's going to be a little bit of an experiment for at least a few weeks moving forward. And it's not going to start next week. We haven't really started this push yet. I had 3 interviews last week. I have 3 interviews this week. So like I'm good for like, I think it's like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of content still. And then after that, we'll see, because I have like 2.5, 3 weeks in order to try to get up to that 5. So that's the plan of how we're going to approach this. New year, got to change things up, right? It's funny because it reminds me, like right back a year ago, it was, I think it was January 15th, 16th or 17th, something like that. It was a weekend. And I had roughly 10 people join me for a 2-day training session, kind of going over how to advertise, how to promote, how to do things like that, essentially showing them exactly what I was going to do with the Gamerpreneur in order to grow it. And I don't think anybody actually followed what I told them to do other than me. So I did this training, and one of the individuals who was at it wanted to say a few words, for me to be able to use into the future as like a testimonial. And what she'd said was, goodbye 2019, hello 2020. It's a bright, beautiful new year. We're going to take the most advantage of it. And 2020 turned into 2020, and we don't talk about 2020. But we're in the same spot now. Like 2021. Like there's so much potential for us, right? Like you got to look forward to the entire year. You got to look forward to, 12 months of being able to grow and develop and turn yourself into whatever it is you want to turn yourself into. All you got to do is have the perseverance to keep at it, figure out what you're doing wrong, tweak it until it turns into doing something right. And once you start getting the results, it'll be incredible for you. You don't even really understand how like quickly it starts to go. For perspective, all right. I'm sure there are people out there who think I spend a lot of money on the Gamerpreneur, and I don't. I really don't. I've spent, for the past 2, maybe 3 months, I've spent roughly $10 a day or so, and that's it on ads. $10 a day on ads, and my growth has been incredible. Like I should be doing more. I'll be the first to admit I really should be doing more. And based on kind of how things are looking, I intend to be putting more ad dollars in. I intend to promote myself, get more reach, get more video views, get more link clicks, get more everything I need in order to prove to the gaming space I'm legit, right? Because that's how it works in this space. Everybody seems to care about numbers rather than results. So I'm going to keep pushing that. And, I'd say in the next week, I'm going to hit 100,000 followers, and it's going to be freaking awesome. 100,000 followers. How cool is that? But that's kind of the game plan. We're going to be trying to shift everything to 5 days a week on interviews. And I'm not sure like if I'm going to be focusing on like a particular type of gamer. Not necessarily type of gamer, like type of business. So as an example, like e-commerce, people who are selling stuff, as opposed to people in the gaming industry, because I want this brand not to be about the business of gaming. I want it to be about gamers in business. All right. And those are totally different things, because gamers in business, there's no such thing as a typical gamer. It drives me nuts. Every single interview I do, I start with the question, how weird are you? And, I had a guy on just yesterday tell me he was 11.5. Why is that? Oh, because like I like gamer stuff. Like that doesn't make you weird. And like, I'm so sick of hearing gamers think that they're weird because they like gamer stuff. It's just a hobby. What you do outside of that makes you a normal person. And so many gamers own businesses. There's something like 2.7 billion gamers on this planet. Think of that. There's like 7.5 billion people on the planet total, okay? And then 2.7 of them are gamers. That's like a third or so, or roughly a third. That's a ton of people. Some ungodly large amount of those people have to own businesses of their own. And maybe they're struggling. Maybe they're trying to do something with it. Maybe they don't know how to build it yet. And they need the advice of people who have succeeded, who've gone before them and have walked that path. It could be trying to sell essentially the same thing. Turns out there really isn't much competition when you have 2.7 billion people that you could be marketing to. Like if you marketed to 10 million people and you were able to sell like just to that clump there, you'd make a lot of money. So don't fret the fact that there's other people selling the same thing or talking about the same thing or playing the same thing or doing the same thing. None of that matters. And that's why I really, really want to push more on the interviews, is because I want to showcase those people who are doing it. And I want them, I think I've gotten a little bit away from what the intent was a year ago for the Gamerpreneur, because I was asking about numbers back then. How much money are you making? How often do you make that money? Like, how do you get your inventory? Those sorts of things, like things that an aspiring entrepreneur, an aspiring gamerpreneur needs to know in order to be able to go off and grow their own business. And so that's my plan. And again, I'm going to remind you, organization is the enemy of sloth. So here I am. I've got this plan, right? Just kind of as an example of how this works. I've got this plan in order to do 5 interviews a week. That's a lot of interviews. Like, there's tons of shows out there. Only do 1 interview a week, maybe 1 interview a month. And they have huge followings. Like, I'm planning on doing 5 a week. You rest assured that I can't be lazy. I have to spend the time every single day to be able to reach out to people, and I got to be doing interviews every single week. I'm hoping for at least 6. That way, in case somebody like, oh man, I can't make it this week, I don't have to worry too much about like losing that spot. But we'll see. I may end up doing 4 and 1. I'm really hoping for 5. That's what we're going to be shooting for. My wife is going to be helping me do a little bit of the messaging on the back end. So instead of it all being on my shoulders on top of my other clients, she's going to help out as well. And I really think you're going to see a lot of growth and development here in the Gamerpreneur. You're going to see things kind of just dial up some. I like to say that, Russell Brunson's one of my favorite business advisors, right? And he likes to say that when you're promoting, you need to dial up the sexy, as if there's an actual dial, you like crank it, okay? So I'm looking to dial up the sexy. I'm looking to hire people to do the video editing. I've done some reaching out over the past 3 months, looking for people to help me do that, and there's like just no one really kind of fit the bill. So I'm going to be doubling down on my search and looking for a little higher quality, and just generally trying to make this show better, because there's something about the gaming space. People want it to look good. I understand that, and so you got to give the people what they want, and that's what we're going to be doing. So that's my plan. That's what we're going to be working on. I cannot wait to share this all with you, and I'm looking forward to it. Don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.